Alrighty, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. My name is Nate, and welcome back to another weather forecast discussion. This time it is for February 22nd, 2023. And, to be completely honest with you, I didn't really think I would be making this video, but severe weather might be coming in a little bit early. We've already had a couple events of severe weather that has occurred over the past, a couple of weeks, but this one might be our first big shot of severe weather. And of course, we're also going to be talking about the lingering impacts of what today's winter storm really has been like. So if you guys are new to the channel, please be sure to hit that like button before we get started. As we take a look at the live radar, you can see how things are starting to kind of push on through and into central Illinois. We've got a lot of rain down there extending from the Midwest into the Ohio Valley. And then north of that, though it may appear as if there's a lot of green and yellows, that's actually a lot of freezing rain and even snow up there. We can move off to that here in a second as we'll get into the actual totals of what you guys can anticipate. But I do want to move over and we take a look at our day 5 convective outlook. This is essentially telling us where severe weather could more than likely exist, and we do have a risk for severe weather. You can see at the bottom part of your screen, you have your probabilities, such as the 15% and the 30%. All of those there's a chance for severe weather within a 25-mile radius of a spot, and that is kind of what we got here. 15% chance in yellow and a 30% chance in orange. Yesterday they actually issued a day 6 15% risk for Sunday as well, and that was more up into the portions of northern Texas, into western Oklahoma, as well as into the western Kansas area. But now they've kind of moved that a bit further down to the south and east. They've got a lot of confidence over here in the portions of southern Kansas, Oklahoma, as well as northern Texas. So we'll get into that a little bit more. I want to transition, however, back to the winter weather and what is exactly going to happen for the rest of the day here before we get into the nitty-gritty of this episode. And as we take a look here at the simulated radar from the HRRR, we've got a lot of just general showers and thunderstorms throughout the Mississippi River, but north of that, I mentioned there's a lot of snow, a lot of freezing rain, a lot of ice in general. That's going to continue to linger throughout the evening and into the overnight hours here. It'll continue to push off into portions of the Adirondacks, but we've got another wave that's going to be coming here for people in the Midwest towards the Great Lakes. Another band of snow that can start to move on through, and don't be surprised if you get some more activity, if you will, getting into the early morning hours tomorrow as well. So a lot of snow here for much of the area and a lot of ice here. As we move off towards the ice, you can see there is a massive amount across southern portions of Michigan and the southern portions of Ontario area. So if you guys are in those general vicinities, not that you guys would be outdoors in this stuff, in the middle of the night anyways. This is all the more reason for you guys not to go outdoors at all. So even for the people in northern Illinois, as well as in the portions of New York and northern Pennsylvania, there's just no reason for you guys to be outside during this event. It's going to be overnight. Traveling is going to be hazardous across the board, so just don't do it. It's not very smart. The leftover snow here that is expected throughout today's event, there's also going to be some more snow across portions of the western United States. So a lot of snow is anticipated. As a matter of fact, about 50 inches of snow can occur over the next 48 hours, according to the HRRR, over here in portions of the Sierra Mountains. So a lot of ski resorts over there are going to get a lot of their snow. And then, of course, areas over here in the upper Midwest into the Northeast and the southern portions of southeastern Canada could potentially see in upwards of about a foot of snow. So definitely a lot of wintry conditions still anticipated for your general area. But we'll move off over here towards the Euro model, and this is where we start to transition into a bit more of the long-range forecasting and even the short-term forecasting if you kind of want to just get a general idea as to what's happening. We're looking at the wind shear at about 500 millibars, which is about 6 kilometers above ground level, and this is the upper level wind shear. This is looking at the jet stream, more or less. We can see here that we've got a lot of activity across the board. I mean, you're looking at the scale at the bottom. You can see that we're up into the upper echelon values of wind shear here, and that is more or less because of this new trough that's going to be dipping in behind. So this is your old activity that's moving on through over here and over here. And this is really just going to kind of push on through and create a lot of your wintry conditions. That's exactly what's going to happen, actually, going in further and further into tomorrow and even into Friday. But This is when stuff gets really interesting here. We've got a high pressure system that's going to set in over here in Florida. So pretty sunny across the board over into portions of the Caribbean and the Gulf of Mexico. But there is a new low pressure system that's going to develop. It's actually going to be cut off from the jet stream. And the way you can tell where the jet stream and its natural flow actually is there's this blue line right here that's recently been added to Weather Bell. This is really telling you where the jet stream is at, where the wind is essentially flowing from one end to the other. And what it's telling us here is the jet stream actually is cut off from this new low pressure system that's going to form off of California. Now, this is going to create a lot more snow, a lot more rain, just a lot more precipitation across the board over here into the southwest. So watch out for that from Thursday, Friday, Saturday, even further as the storm moves into the United States on Sunday. Don't be surprised if there's a lot of precipitation, whether it's, snow, flash flooding, rain, stuff like that. Rather, you guys watch out for that ahead of time. But this is going to continue to move on through. It's going to move ashore here, and this high pressure system is going to kind of steer everything with it. So we've got a clockwise moving high pressure system just like that. And then we've got a counterclockwise moving low pressure system that is kind of moving just like this. And so the mixture of these two is going to be a lot of convergence to where a lot of this air is rising north just like this. And if you just kind of, draw a line in the general convergence area where this is all going to be located, there you go. It's over Oklahoma, Texas, and Kansas. And so by the time we get into Sunday night, we got a lot of upper level wind shear that is starting to surge on through, and a bit of a negative tilt with this as well. So I would watch out for this, for the threat of tornadoes. I would not be surprised if this was the case. I'm not going to get into the super specifics in regards to how much energy there is, as well as, how strong that lower level jet is going to be. I think I've still got a lot of questions, or not that I know I still have a lot of questions for this event. And long-range models are not exactly that reliable to the point to where you can get into specifics with what's going on. So we're just going to go over the general idea, and just by looking at the upper-level wind shear, this does look to be a more significant severe weather event that could occur based off of that. Moving off to the dew points here with the Euro model, and you can see of what's going on. We got a lot of high moisture across the board into the central and southeastern portions of the United States, but that's going to go away as this low pressure system and this current system that's moving off into the Ohio Valley as well as the Great Lakes area is going to kind of suppress all of that. It's going to suppress it towards the southern United States, and a lot of cold air is going to come in behind it. A lot of cold, dry air for the most part. But as we said, we're going to get another event that's going to occur. It's going to be on Sunday. So what happens with Sunday is, well, we're going to start to get our high pressure system that's going to go over Florida. This is going to kind of try and build up a lot of that moisture. We've also got our low pressure system off of California, and they're both going to kind of bring in a lot of this southerly flow into the area. So watch what happens here as we transition from Saturday night into Sunday. Boom, big rise in moisture over the 24-hour span of that happening, and there is a lot of moisture across this area. I'm talking almost 70-degree dew points out into portions of Texas and Oklahoma. So we definitely have a lot of moisture. We've got our classic dry line setup that's even going to occur over here, and our warm front actually goes as far as northern Kansas. So essentially from the northern or the north central Kansas area all the way down through Oklahoma and Texas is where we can really anticipate where our severe weather is, give or take about 50 miles east or west. So depending upon what happens with, what the models continue to say over the next, I'd say 24 to 48 hours, don't be surprised if it veers off just a little, but looks something similar to this. This is really going to be one of those things to where we're going to have one of our more classic severe weather setups that can occur during tornado season. And tornado season usually doesn't really, kick off until March. About, I'm not sure if you guys checked your calendars or anything, but this is late February here, so we're just a little early with this. But one thing I will say here is to kind of get the general picture of where the severe weather could actually exist. We're going to take a look at the instantaneous flash rate, which is essentially looking at where lightning could potentially be, and thunderstorms create lightning, so it's a good way for us to tell as to where storms are going to be. So we'll move on through. You can see that once we get to about 1 p.m. in the afternoon on Sunday, we got some storms in northern Texas near the Lubbock area. This is going to continue to exist, and we've even got a massive storm, or at least multiple storms along a line here, and even some prefrontals, some storms out in front of the cold front or dry line. So don't be surprised if there's even storms out in front of that. But regardless, we got a massive area here to look for. This continues to be the case as we advance towards the 7 o'clock Eastern, 6 o'clock Central hours, and then after that, it really becomes a nice elongated line of showers and thunderstorms. I'm expecting that one to be more of a damaging wind and hail event as we get further and further towards the evening. But I would not also be surprised if the areas over into portions of central and northern Oklahoma, maybe even Kansas as well, could at least have a few spin-ups, some tornadoes possible within that as well. Now, the reason why we are looking at an event that has such a high probability of severe storms being possible this far out is because we don't just have one model that's, agreeing with this premise. We've got two of the major ones, actually. The Euro model, which is actually going to be on your top part of your screens, it'll be this one right here. And then the Global Forecasting System model, which is the GFS, right on here. Both of which are used for severe weather, as well as being able to kind of track where specifically it's going to be located. And so, we tend to see just a little bit of a difference, sometimes even a major difference between the two models, to where this model ends up being a bit more progressive. It ends up being a little bit more out in front. This one's a little bit more laid back. And, it could even be vice versa sometimes. But we'll play it on through, and you can see the similarities all the way up until Sunday for the wind shear. Here's our jet stream at 500 millibars, and this continues to look at least somewhat identical. Maybe some more intensities are stronger in one than the other, but the placement of everything seems to be somewhat accurate. We move off into Friday night, into Saturday morning. Look at that trough that's on the left part of your screen, the low pressure that's starting to really build in. How about that high pressure system that's over in the Gulf of Mexico? That's starting to really build as the low pressure goes across the central portions of the United States. Look at that. It's somewhat identical. It's off by about 50 miles, maybe. So, the big thing here is that the models are really agreeing with the premise of this event actually happening. And it's one of those things where when you've got signs that are looking at, hey, maybe there's, this model is right, or maybe this one's right, or how about both of them is right? You got to take into consideration with that if you're a forecaster. And that's the reason why the Storm Prediction Center really likes the idea of this event actually occurring. We can push off through once again. Here is Sunday afternoon, and we've got a lot of rich moisture going into the central portions of the United States. So the big thing here to take away, severe weather is anticipated on Sunday, and all modes are possible. Tornadoes, hail, wind, all sorts of stuff within that as well. Maybe even flooding if there's enough moisture and enough convergence within all these showers and thunderstorms. We don't know a lot about the specifics at this time. I'm not anticipating that until at least Friday night, which is when I will upload. Of course, I'm going to upload again tomorrow, and I'm going to upload again Friday and Saturday. And of course, if this continues to be what is looking like on the models, I'm more than likely going to live stream on Sunday. So we're going to continue to pay attention to what the models say. But for right now, if you're in Texas, if you're in Oklahoma, if you're in Kansas, expect something to kind of move through into your area and potentially be severe. We'll say severe for right now. Potentially, even a little bit more. We'll see with the models, but expect stuff to kind of move through your area there on Sunday. So that's going to be it for me. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you did enjoy the video, please be sure to leave a like, subscribe if you're new, turn on notifications, share this with friends and family on social media. I know that's a lot. That's a lot that you just heard of what you have to do. You're not obliged to do any of that. You're really not. Just make sure that you guys stay safe, as this is anticipated to be really the beginning of severe weather season. Tornado season, as some people like to call it. We'll see. We'll continue to track it here on this channel. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace out.